Louisville has very opportunistic defense, forcing a lot of turnovers. What do you see out of them?
They're playing very confident. They're playing together. They got a lot of veteran players that have played together for a while on that front. So I do think that they're playing very well. They really smothered some of the offense in recent weeks. So outside of Clemson, people have really struggled against them. But I just feel like they're tied together, and they, I think that a couple of really good defensive linemen that can set the edge. They got some linebackers who can run around. They got two corners who are playing really at a high level.
They obviously lead the country in sacks. How much of it is it a challenge for that offensive line to prove they've made strides?
It's a huge challenge. I've been very impressed watching them on tape. Their team speed, and then they have, there's a couple guys that have, been multi-year starters, and you can see they play well off each other. They got some really good pass rushers. Seven is really shown up on tape. He's got some real wiggle, and he can really cause problems. And then they got some corners that they're going to be aggressive. They're going to put their hands on you. They're going to try and grab you. And they're going to do what they have to do to disrupt your timing so the pass rush can get home. And they're very good at it. And they overwhelmed Pitt and overwhelmed Wake and some of those schools. So we got to be at our best.
You only gave up 1 sack for 4 yards. Talk about how the improvement that came along and put.
I felt like it was just one of those deals where we were able to be balanced. So we didn't have to, weren't in one of those must-pass situations except for a couple of third and longs. And in those situations, they were rushing for, and our guys did a nice job of just really blocking their man with good technique. This week it's a far greater challenge in the sense that they're going to blitz from all over, they're going to move constantly, and they have a really exotic third down package with their dime stuff that they do a really good job, and that's really how they've caused some real problems for teams in the ACC.
When you face a team that forces a lot of turnovers, how do you kind of coach your team in preparation without them thinking too much about not making mistakes?
Yeah, I wouldn't overcoach it at the point that we've been, ball security is everything. We preach it every week. So that's very important. So all the ball carriers in transition and the runners, they have to be very mindful of ball security. They're very good at getting after it. And then, it really comes down to the quarterback. In the end, they've deflected a lot of balls, and they've been very opportunistic. They've hidden coverage well, and they've fooled some quarterbacks. They got the quarterback from Wake Forest a couple times. So that is where we have to be great with our plan to provide our guys a good opportunity to not, put Will in that situation where he's unsure, and then their speed on the back end makes a play. And that's kind of what's happened with some people. And we're going to have, again, it comes down to protection, having a good plan, and being smart with how we distribute the football.
Will's legs were pretty big in last year's game against this defense. Is he getting to the point where that could be more of a weapon for him?
Yeah, last week was probably the first time we were able to really put him in a position where he felt at a level where it was able to include him in the run game, and he could think a little more off schedule, and he was able to improvise in the game, and he got a couple of good scrambles that were important in the game. He was able to run the ball a couple of times on some design plays. So that's the stuff that, he's so good at that stuff. He was so good at it last year, and it's just, really for about 6 weeks or so, he just hasn't been able to do that. But he is feeling a lot better than he's felt in a while. So that is a bonus and allows you to open up the offense and help it unlock the run game a little bit.
How much does last year's film, I guess, I know you weren't here, but how much does it help you in seeing how this particular game is played?
I think it's last year they did a nice job. They got on them early, but this is a different team. They're a far more confident team. Both the corners are playing really well. The transfer from Florida State's playing very good. And then I just feel like a couple of those D linemen have been playing a lot of games together, and they've been there for a while. And it's just they got some real seniors, and so to me, the defense is much more connected and tied together this year. It's very tight. And then, and they gained some confidence. So it's our job to go out there and take that away and play our best and get after them early like last year. And if you can do that, that's great. But if not, you're going to be in a dogfight. And these guys they're playing very confident. You can see it on tape. So we got to match that intensity in every way.
You talked about how well the O-line did against Georgia. Does Georgia How does Louisville differ in how it attacks the quarterback compared to Georgia? Is there a noticeable difference?
You know, it's funny is, Georgia probably played a style of play that allowed, like, we had a sudden transition at tackle at the last second before the game. And, Georgia played a little more gap sound, kind of straight up, more pro style defense, quite honestly. Very similar to things that our defense does. And we're comfortable with that. And that's why I felt like it was always going to be a good matchup in that way, where we could hold our own in some ways and have success and gain some confidence, even though they have some home records up there. This week, they got some really fast guys, but they're moving and they're causing chaos. And they're trying to create negative plays. And when that defense doesn't create a negative play, you can get explosives. But if they do, they can put you behind the chains and stop drives. And I think they've done a great job of that this year.
When you're going up against that, is some of it just guesswork on going away from the blitz, or is it just luck at times?
No, I mean they're kind of, but part of it is you have to work around it. But it's they're an odd defensive structure, and they. They're not 300 pounders like Georgia, but they have guys that play with good motors and they're really sound at getting in their gaps. And they have some specific games and things they do to teams, whether you run zone schemes or where the back line's up or you pull guards or whatever you do. And those are the things that you have to be ready for. You got to be on point, and if you are, you can have success. And if you're not, they're going to have guys coming free and they're going to cause problems. And that's where our back's got to be really disciplined. And our line's got to be really, really together and physical, and a lot like some of the teams we played this year early, like Ole Miss kind of had some of that stuff to it, and some of the other teams we played along the way where they move, and we got to be ready for that. And I think we are. I think we got a good plan, but we got to go out and put it to life because it's a big game.
But you obviously didn't win the game. You didn't score enough points, I'm sure, for your liking, but you did move the ball. You had the 99-yard drive. You moved it again on another drive. Do you sense any boost in confidence or mood coming out of that game against a really good defense?
Yes and no. Yes in the sense that they are. I really feel good for guys like Jagger. To stand toe to toe with these top draft choice and to hold your own and to grind and battle in there. And know that I can hold my own in there. I think a young player like that gains a lot of confidence from that. Eli was really on point directing us and calling out and being on point with his calls. And I think that is where there's a lot of growth and confidence. But the reality of it is I lose sleep at night because I personally feel like, we had 2 long drive. I think we opened with a 14-play drive and got no points out of it. We started on our own 4-yard line. We had the ball for 5.5, 6 minutes. We had 3 drives in the first half. All 3 of them could have been scoring drives. All 3 of them, literally we missed a throw on a 3rd down and 4 to keep us on the field where the guys perfectly executing wide open. Those 3 drives all should have been scoring drives, and we were in there at halftime with the lead or tied. And you feel a whole different thing, you make a kick, or instead of kicking, you finish with a touchdown because we had one missed assignment on a pass where the guy was open and a young tackle was subbing in, missed a block. Those plays, all of a sudden that last drive you're tied, you're 1 score down. That's where the confidence comes from. That's the goal. And until we execute at that level, we got to fight every day to be that team. And I think we are on that trend. Their mindset is good. I'm excited about those young football players in there. And I think that Will's healthier, and we can go out there and have a great game, put that on tape this week, and feel good about ourselves.
What did you see on the tape with Will's interception in the red zone?
Yeah, he a great life lesson. It was a play where, it was designed for pressure to have ops in the end zone, and the way they played, it would have been one of those moments where, what he saw and how good the player was he was going against and where he was not having an extra 20 yards of field and being near the red zone, he made a late decision. And the real decision there would have been the way they played was probably to go off schedule. And he had the line blocked perfectly. It was a really good pass pro. And I think that if he had it back, the guy came open, he saw it late, and he made a mistake. And that happens. He's got to learn from it. He can't make the same mistakes twice. But, if he'd have gone off schedule and scrambled for 15 yards, he could have done that too. So those are the things that, again, I feel bad because You go a month or 6 weeks and you don't do that stuff. You don't train yourself to do that. No one can just jump back in and just be what you were. And I think that he's working back to that because the foot's feeling better. But for a month, he hadn't been able to do it, and he's been a sitting duck. So that's the part of the game we want back.
Dubious question: do you have perhaps a dilemma left tackle?
No, not in the sense that I think in the future, listen, the dilemma is this: is Horsey's going to be a really good. He's born to play guard. He's been forced to play tackle, and I think the dilemma is when he's able to go back inside to guard, hopefully next season, and we're able to get some of those young players to come along or create more competition out there at tackle with the other 4 starters. We could technically have 4 guys back with some depth and some young guys coming along. That's the exciting thing for the future. And I like we got a couple freshmen I'm excited about too. So, creating competition and getting stronger and building depth in that part of our game will be very important to our future.
Okay, folks, thank you very much.